Chicago rapper Lil Durk.
Lil Durk targeted a rival rapper
in a murder-for-hire plot back in 2022.
Is in the hospital tonight after being attacked in federal prison.
Welcome back to StarHush, where glitz, drama, and downfalls collide in the wildest ways. And today, we're diving into one of the biggest plot twists in rap right now, Lil Durk's fall from rap royalty to a cold jail cell.
It's like, who y'all gonna pay attention to now? Who is the smartest at the end? The person that alive and free and living their life is winning all that money finna go down the drain for nothing. Free Durk, man. Hey man, I don't wanna see nobody booked. I don't wanna, none of that. I ain't on, you know? But Mama Duck been telling y'all, there's a lot that was going on behind the scenes that y'all don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? Like they said, he already knew.
Just 5 months ago, he was flying high, literally. Private jets, diamond chains, oceanside mansions, and chart-topping hits. But now, he's locked up in MDC Los Angeles with the feds breathing down his neck on serious federal charges.
Lil Durk locked up. Murder for hire. Charge. Murder for hire. Murder for hire is crazy. OTF Jam. Lil Durk got snitched on by OTF Jam. Jam just got out of jail from doing 12 years in prison and got involved in the murder for hire. Understandable, he turned on Durk. Lil Durk was expecting to get picked up at his birthday bash. So Durk already went up like that. He knew it. He knew it.
The streets are whispering and the indictment is loud. Durk allegedly put money on someone's head. And if the government proves it, he's not just doing time, he's staring down life in prison. No deals, no mercy, no way out.
Right now, and them people's eyes, man, Durk killed these people. Durk did everything, man. Durk paid for that. Yeah, man, that's what the people gonna say. When the other shit coming out right now, you talking about, oh, he can't stop making three-way calls. Get y'all goofy ass. So how is he gonna do a pre-trial? Cause he making a three-way call. He making a three-way call mean he gonna get out and still be around gang members and do all that. Come on, man. They let him out in Atlanta. Him and King Von couldn't hang out around each other. They did it, so it don't even make sense. The system.
So what's it like for the OTF frontman behind bars? Lil Durk, born Dirk Derek Banks, had been riding the wave of success for years. He turned pain into platinum, losses into legacy. But in late October, everything flipped. The feds swooped in on October 24th and snatched him up, first holding him at the federal spot in Miami before moving him to the high-security Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. And this ain't just some traffic charge or minor run-in. The case has weight. They're saying this ain't just street beef. The feds are building it like a full-blown hit job. The case ties Durk to the 2022 murder of Louis Pop, Quando Rondo's cousin, and prosecutors claim it was a calculated, paid-for setup that ended in blood. They're calling it murder for hire, backed up by gun charges and conspiracy. That's not just smoke, that's legal fire. And here's where it gets colder. Durk's team tried hard to get him out. They put up a $3 million bond offer to the court, hoping money would talk. But the judge wasn't hearing none of it. No matter how much bread was on the table, the court said he's staying put until trial. Now Durk's stuck between bars and barbed wire, waiting on a verdict that could change the rest of his life, from being the voice of the trenches to possibly never seeing the free world again. This fall is hitting different. After his bond was denied, reality hit hard. The court made it crystal clear. They see Lil Durk as a flight risk and a danger. That ruling crushed any shot at temporary freedom, locking him in until trial with no room to breathe. On November 13th, Durk was quietly moved to MDC Los Angeles, a facility that's cold, crowded, and nothing like the life he's used to. And he's not in there alone. Some of his tightest OTF affiliates are locked in right beside him. Kayvon Cuss Grant, DeAndre Dede Wilson, Keith Flocka Jones, and Asa Boogie Houston. These were the guys he once ran the streets with, built loyalty with, and stacked paper with. But now, they're facing the same heavy charges, trapped in a concrete cage, waiting to see what their futures look like. If Durk thought MDC would be lighter than the Miami joint, he was dead wrong. MDC Los Angeles may look modern, no spooky iron bars or dungeon vibes, but don't get it twisted. This place is ruthless. It was built back in 1988 to hold pre-trial detainees, folks still waiting on a court date, not serving sentences. But now, overcrowding, limited staff, and non-stop tension have turned it into a powder keg ready to blow. Unlike state prisons where inmates are split by security levels, MDCLA is a mixed jungle. Drug lords, gang bosses, violent hitters, and even white-collar criminals are all thrown in together. One roof, no buffer. That setup, dangerous. Too many egos, too much street rep, not enough space. Violence? It's daily business in there. A look, a word, even the wrong tone can spark something explosive. And when it does, it's every man for himself. Being famous means nothing behind those walls. Lil Durk might be a chart topper out here, but inside, he's just another face. And to some, a potential target. Making things worse, MDC has its own underground problems. Several correctional officers have already been caught up, indicted for smuggling in contraband. We're talking drugs, phones, even weapons, all for the right price. Inside MDC, it ain't just inmates causing trouble. Corrupt staff are part of the game too. Some officers are straight up turning a blind eye, letting underground networks thrive inside the walls. Contraband moves, secrets get passed, and power shifts fast. For someone like Lil Durk, who already has a huge target on his back from his rap fame and alleged street ties, one slip-up could land him in serious danger. The facility itself? It's falling apart. Inmates have described it as neglected and grimy. Broken equipment everywhere, busted toilets, delays on even the most basic repairs. Some say they've waited months just to get hot water or working lights. Living conditions are rough, and every day feels like a gamble. Now, being locked up with his OTF circle might sound like a comfort, but don't get it twisted. In the federal system, loyalty doesn't always last. When the heat turns all the way up, pressure has a funny way of making people fold. And with stakes this high, even the tightest bonds can snap. Durk and his guys aren't in there playing cards or passing time. They're literally fighting for their lives. The feds came prepared. And from the looks of it, the case is stacked with evidence. As the trial date creeps closer, the tension inside those walls is only rising. Informants, secret plea deals, hidden microphones, it's all on the table now. Nobody wants to be the last one standing with no deal in hand. And don't forget, federal jails love to play the separation game. When multiple people are tied to the same case, officials will keep them apart on purpose, blocking conversations, breaking any chance of syncing stories, and watching for signs of witness tampering. So even though Durk's crew is inside with him, it's unclear how much contact they actually have. To make matters worse, Durk has already drawn heat from prison officials. According to court records, he's been caught making unauthorized three-way calls, a direct violation of MDC's rules. Prosecutors pounced on it instantly, using it to argue that Durk can't even follow basic jail regulations. And if he can't do that, what does that say about what he might do outside those walls? So if he's breaking rules behind bars, how can the courts trust he'd follow the law if released? That three-way call violation turned into just another nail in the coffin for Durk's bail hopes, a red flag the prosecutors were quick to wave. But beyond the rule-breaking and physical danger, there's a whole different war going on. The mental one. Being locked in a tiny cell, away from the world, with your freedom hanging by a thread. That kind of pressure plays heavy on the mind. And for Durk, someone who built his entire brand on survival, struggle, and resilience, this is a test like no other. MDC offers mental health services, sure, but for someone like Durk, it's barely scratching the surface. There's access to crisis counseling and therapy, but one-on-one sessions are rare, and group support, even rarer. Most of the time, inmates are just left to wrestle with their own thoughts, isolated and under constant surveillance. It's psychological warfare, and even the strongest can feel themselves cracking under the weight. The loneliness, the endless waiting, the knowing eyes of guards and other inmates watching your every move. It wears on you. And in a place like MDC, where every day could bring a new fight or confrontation, there's no such thing as peace of mind. Durk's only real break comes in the form of limited recreation. MDC offers things like basketball, table games like ping pong or pool, and even GED programs for inmates trying to build something productive. But make no mistake, even stepping on the court requires keeping your head on a swivel. In there, anything can pop off with no warning. Still, despite everything, Durk is trying to hold it together, or at least sound like he is. A leaked prison phone call from November 15th painted a picture of strength. On the call, he told a friend he was keeping his head up and staying focused on reuniting with his family. "Just got off the phone with my brother at Durk," read the Instagram caption. "He in good spirit, staying positive, and fighting to get back home to his kids and family. We not glorifying negativity." Even behind walls, the message Durk is sending out, he's still pushing, still trying to stand tall through it all. "We're more than just street guys. We're men of honor and code." That's the image Lil Durk has always tried to project. But now, people are starting to question how much of that was real and how much was just a front. Because no matter how solid you are, prison changes you. The constant stress of a life-altering trial, the weight of wondering who might crack under pressure, and the fear of knowing your next move could cost you everything, it adds up fast. Durk might be calm on the phone, putting up a strong face, but behind those cold jail doors, he's caught in a war unlike anything he's ever experienced. And if things keep heading the way they are, that jail stay might just become permanent. Let's break down where things stand in Lil Durk's legal storm. What started off as a single murder-for-hire charge has now snowballed into something far more dangerous. The rapper and his closest OTF affiliates are now facing a full-blown RICO case, the kind that doesn't leave much room for escape. If convicted, Durk's not just looking at a few years. He's staring down life in a federal prison. No parole, no early release, no exit strategy. The feds don't want to just lock him up. They're looking to bury him. In November 2024, the first superseding indictment dropped, and it was stacked. It lays out a long web of alleged conspiracies, violent incidents, and retaliation that reaches back years. This ain't about one crime or one moment. The government is painting Lil Durk as the mastermind behind a powerful criminal operation, using his Only the Family imprint not just as a music label, but as the front for a violent street crew. To the feds, OTF is more than just a brand. It's a well-oiled gang, allegedly responsible for shootings, assaults, and organized chaos in multiple cities. And if there's one thing the federal government has perfected, it's using RICO, the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. Originally designed to bring down the mafia, this law has become the government's go-to weapon for dismantling rap crews and neighborhood cliques. Now they're pointing the finger straight at Durk, accusing him of being the shot caller, using his fame, his money, and his influence to greenlight hits, reward violence, and keep OTF locked in as a dominant force in the streets. According to the feds, the heart of this RICO case beats all the way back to one tragic moment, the 2020 murder of King Von. But his death wasn't just another grim headline in the drill scene. It sent shockwaves through the streets and the industry. Prosecutors claim that after Von was gunned down in Atlanta, Lil Durk didn't just mourn, he moved fast. They're saying Durk allegedly put a bounty on those he believed were responsible. And that decision triggered a violent domino effect. That includes the infamous August 2022 ambush on Quando Rondo's crew in Los Angeles. The feds allege that Durk didn't just sit back, he personally ordered the hit, sending his guys across state lines with one mission: find the rival and take him out. And this time, the feds claim they came with receipts. We're talking surveillance footage, tapped phone calls, text messages, and even rap lyrics they say are more than just bars. They're confessions. This isn't just a case built on vibes. The prosecution says this is months of deep investigation, inside informants, and straight-up witness cooperation. Durk isn't the only one caught in this legal tornado. His crew, the core of OTF, is going down with him if the feds get their way. Names like Kayvon Cousin Ivani Grant, who's being accused of helping set up the hit, from organizing the crew to locking down weapons. Then there's DeAndre D-Day Wilson, allegedly one of the key guys who traveled out to LA to carry out the plan. Keith Flocka Jones is being pegged as one of the actual shooters, said to have pulled the trigger with others during the ambush. David Brian Lindsay, known as Brown, is another name in the mix. Investigators believe he helped with prepping the entire operation. And Asa Boogie Houston, he's accused of driving the getaway car and helping clean up the mess afterward. The indictment lays it all out: over 25 overt acts tied to the conspiracy. From buying plane tickets with OTF-linked funds to grabbing automatic weapons to coordinating every move through encrypted apps. The feds say this wasn't random. It was planned, mapped, and executed like a military operation. Every single move? The feds say it was calculated. And it's not just about putting Lil Durk and his crew behind bars. The government wants to wipe them out completely. They're going after everything. We're talking full-blown criminal forfeiture, meaning if convicted, Durk and his co-defendants could lose it all. Homes, luxury whips, designer jewelry, and even the money made from any music linked to the alleged crimes. The feds aren't playing checkers. They're playing chess with high-tech tools and airtight strategies. Witnesses aren't their only weapon anymore. They've got advanced surveillance, phone taps, and digital breadcrumbs all lined up. Word is, the FBI intercepted a string of phone calls between Durk and members of his circle. And while the convos were coded, prosecutors are claiming they clearly point to a murder-for-hire operation. One of the most damning pieces of evidence? A recorded conversation where Durk allegedly gave the green light on a target, and later rapped about the outcome in one of his songs. The government says those lyrics aren't just music, they're confessions on wax, and we've seen this strategy before. Just look at YNW Melly and Young Thug, whose lyrics are being used as evidence in their own RICO cases. But it doesn't stop with calls and tracks. The feds pulled up surveillance footage, tracking Durk's crew before and after the LA shooting. They've got financial records showing payments made around the time of the attack. And now comes the heaviest part, testimony from confidential informants. This has fans and the streets wondering, did someone inside OTF flip? All eyes turn toward one name, Jam. Jam, a longtime OTF affiliate, had serious street cred. He did over a decade in prison on an attempted murder charge and was seen as a loyal soldier. But when he got released in 2022, rumors exploded. Whispers said Jam might have secretly turned informant, rocking a wire for the feds and passing along intel straight from the inside. And this wasn't just street gossip. According to insider sources, Jam allegedly dropped direct evidence linking Durk to the murder-for-hire plot aimed at Quando Rondo. Even more explosive, Chicago rapper King Ella claimed Jam connected Durk to the murder of Louis Pop, taking the entire situation to a whole new level of serious. The hit on Rondo's cousin? Prosecutors say it was a retaliation mission for King Von's death, and now it's the centerpiece of the Fed's entire case against Lil Durk and his crew. But things got even messier after a video surfaced featuring DJ Academics and Chicago-based reporter Trench's News, and it added serious fuel to the fire. In the clip, Trench's News broke down what might have pushed OTF member Jam to flip and start talking to the feds. It allegedly started with something personal. Jam's baby mama reportedly reached out to Durk for help covering legal fees, but Durk didn't respond. To Jam, that wasn't just a brush off, it was disrespect. "You're not supposed to brush off my call when I need something," Jam reportedly said, clearly heated. Trench's News backed it up too, saying, "That's facts!" And that small moment, it might have been the final straw. The moment loyalty turned into betrayal. The streets and the industry were watching. Whack 100, a known voice in hip-hop, jumped in to speak on Jam's alleged switch-up. He said Jam had once been the definition of street loyalty. Did 12 years without folding, came home, got interviewed, and was praised for keeping it solid. He did 12 years, got out, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him $50,000, said there wasn't no smudge on his name, Wack recalled. Then he caught a gun case and flipped. But Jam wasn't staying quiet. In December 2024, he dropped a lengthy post denying every rumor being thrown his way. He wrote, "When the discovery come out, you gonna see I'm not how the feds got onto us or built their case. I'ma let the paperwork talk, cause it's gonna tell it all." Still, the damage was done, and the prosecution wasn't letting up. They're building a narrative that Lil Durk wasn't just rapping about the trenches, he was running them. The case is built to show that Durk wasn't just an artist telling stories. He was allegedly calling shots, funding moves, and managing a real-life street operation behind the scenes. If Lil Durk falls, it could mark the collapse of one of the most dominant movements in modern hip-hop. His music, his name, and everything he's built, the label, the lifestyle, the legacy, it's all hanging by a thread. Fans haven't given up just yet though. Social media is flooded with hashtag Free Durk posts, people begging for justice, hoping for a miracle. But reality? It's looking dark. The same Chicago rapper who once moved like he was untouchable is now staring at the real possibility of spending life behind bars. And here's the wildest part. The trial hasn't even started yet. The federal government has loaded the clip and made it clear they're coming with full force. And one thing about the feds, when they want you, they don't stop until they have you. So what's next for Lil Durk? The clock is ticking and pressure is building. What was supposed to be a fast-track trial has now been delayed, giving both the prosecution and the defense more time to prep. For the government, that's time to stack more evidence. For Durk, it's more days locked in, more uncertainty, and more mental weight as he waits to see how this all plays out. His murder for hire trial was originally scheduled for January 7th, 2025, but now it's been pushed all the way to October 14th, 2025, a sign of just how complex and high stakes this situation really is. According to court records, the feds are working with over 230 gigabytes of digital evidence, 20,000 pages of documents, and countless hours of surveillance footage and witness statements. This isn't a regular case. This is a full-on takedown operation. And with all that on the table, the big question is, does Durk even stand a chance? Or is this delay just dragging out what's already set in stone? Federal prosecutors are treating this like one of the most significant hip-hop linked criminal cases in recent memory. The superseding indictment paints Durk as more than just a rapper. They say he's the mastermind of a violent network, funding hits, organizing crews, and using the OTF brand as a front for deeper street business. But not everybody's buying it. Some legal experts, and even die-hard fans, believe the case isn't as airtight as it looks. They're questioning if the feds are stretching thin evidence and using Durk's lyrics, lifestyle, and fame to paint a picture bigger than the truth. Now here's where the prosecution hits a major snag. Most of what they've got on Lil Durk is circumstantial. That means it suggests involvement but doesn't prove it straight up. One of their key claims? That OTF credit cards were used to book flights, rental cars, and even masks for the alleged hitmen. But Durk's lawyers are already preparing to flip that. Just because someone used an OTF card doesn't automatically mean Durk was behind it. Multiple people in his circle, from artists to assistants, had access to those resources. The defense is expected to argue that Durk's name may be on the card, but that doesn't prove he gave the green light. Then there's the mysterious message prosecutors are leaning on. A text allegedly from Durk saying, "Don't book no flights or anything associated with my name." Prosecutors are saying this proves he knew something was going down and wanted to keep his name off it. But the defense can flip that too, using it to argue that Durk didn't want any part of a setup and was distancing himself from shady activity. Surveillance footage also shows OTF members meeting up after the murder, reportedly talking payments and even music opportunities. Prosecutors claim this meeting was when money was exchanged for the hit. But here's the problem. Durk wasn't physically present. And without him in the room, it's much harder to prove he ordered or approved anything. Some fans, and even legal analysts, are pointing out that without a smoking gun, this case isn't as solid as the government wants it to seem. There's no direct command from Durk, no tape confession, and no clear evidence showing him pulling the strings. Unless prosecutors have an undisclosed ace waiting in the shadows, like someone flipping on Durk and directly tying him to the plan, it's going to be tough to lock him down as the mastermind. Online, the support is loud. One Reddit user wrote, "Mark my words, Durk will walk." His co-defendants are in a lot more trouble. Even if someone ratted, that person probably has a record. A good lawyer will tear them apart in court. Others echoed that energy, saying there's no direct evidence putting Durk at the scene of the crime. He wasn't there when the murder happened, and relying on OTF credit cards doesn't hold up when those same resources are used by the entire label team. And Durk's new public image? That might work in his favor too. His legal team can argue he's turned a corner, donating to charities, speaking out against violence, converting to Islam, and putting out more uplifting music like All My Life. It's all part of showing a new Durk, one who's focused on growth, not gangs. Another fan broke it all the way down online, saying Lil Durk has a 60 to 80% chance of walking free. And that's based on how the evidence is shaping up. According to them, the only thing even remotely tying Durk to the alleged murder-for-hire plot is that one cryptic message: "Don't book flights under my name." The fan argued that instead of showing Durk was involved in something shady, the message could actually prove he was distancing himself from whatever was going on. In other words, he might have been saying, "Whatever y'all planning, keep me out of it." That kind of defense could seriously flip the narrative, turning the government's evidence into proof that Durk didn't want to be part of any crime. But not everybody's buying it. Other fans are keeping it blunt. The feds don't miss. If they've come for Durk, they probably feel like they've got enough ammo to take him down. And that's where things get really dangerous. Because Durk isn't fighting alone. He's got 5 co-defendants, all facing similar charges. And when the pressure turns up, people start looking for ways to save themselves. One of those co-defendants, DeAndre "Dede" Wilson, has already made a major move, requesting a pre-plea sentence report. That's usually a strong sign someone is thinking about flipping. If Wilson decides to cooperate and testify against Durk, the government could get exactly what they've been looking for: an insider to tie it all together. That's why Durk's legal team is on high alert, watching every move the other defendants make. At this point, there are 4 possible outcomes to this high-stakes case. Not guilty verdict. This is the best case scenario. If Durk's lawyers can break down the prosecution's case and create reasonable doubt, he could walk free. It's rare in federal court, but not impossible, especially if the jury isn't fully convinced. Plea deal. This is likely if Durk and his team realize they're outmatched at trial. Taking a plea could reduce the sentence, but with a murder-for-hire charge, even a deal could mean 20 years or more in federal prison. That's still a lifetime in the music world. Conviction? This is the worst case. If Durk loses in court, he's looking at mandatory life. No parole, no early release. If the jury sides with the government, Durk may never see the free world again. Co-defendant flips. If even one member of OTF flips and testifies against him, that could seal his fate. The feds love insider witnesses, and juries take that kind of testimony seriously. If a former right-hand man points the finger, it becomes nearly impossible for Durk to beat the case. If Durk does manage to walk away, it'll be a historic win, not just for him, but for the culture. It'll show that even the feds can't always bring down hip-hop royalty. But if he loses, that verdict will send a loud message. When the feds want you, they come to finish it. The feds aren't holding back, treating some of the biggest names in hip-hop like they're mob bosses or gang leaders. And even with the weight of a possible life sentence hanging over his head, Lil Durk refuses to let his legacy die out. Despite being locked up, his name still rings out loud in rap circles, and his music still moves the culture. His legal situation is intense, no doubt, but Durk's team isn't letting that stop the momentum. They're doing everything they can to keep his presence alive in the game, even from behind bars. Before his arrest, Lil Durk was on fire, dropping heat, teasing big-name collabs, and prepping what was expected to be one of the biggest rap albums of the year. His upcoming project, Deep Thoughts, was originally set to drop October 18th, 2024, a date fans had been waiting on for months. Anticipation was sky high, but then, just weeks before the release, the arrest came, and everything changed. The album got pushed back without warning. First, fans noticed a subtle change on Apple Music. The date had been moved to November 22nd. No announcement, no explanation, just a quiet delay. Fans were frustrated but held on to hope, thinking maybe Durk would still find a way to deliver. Then, the second delay hit. This time, the album got bumped again, all the way to March 2025. The mood shifted fast. Fans who'd been riding with Durk felt the tension grow. Deep Thoughts had been teased for nearly 2 years, with street favorites like Turn Up a Notch, Monitoring Me, and Late Checkout keeping listeners fed in the meantime. This wasn't just another album, it was set to be Durk's most introspective and raw project yet, a deep dive into his journey, the pain behind the fame, and everything he's been battling. But just when things were already heated, a fake track list started making rounds on social media on October 1st, and it blew everything up. The fake list included unexpected features like Kai Cenat, Morgan Wallen, and Sabrina Carpenter, which had fans arguing online. Some accused Durk of selling out, saying he was straying too far from his signature drill sound and chasing crossover hits. The drama got so loud that Durk himself had to shut it down from behind bars. He confirmed the leaked track list was fake, but left fans guessing, because the real list still under wraps. One track fans are begging to make the final cut on Deep Thoughts is the highly anticipated Walk Hard, a rumored collab with none other than Drake. The song has been teased multiple times, most notably by DJ Academics and streamer Aden Ross, who both hyped up the potential hit. Academics even previewed what looked like a sneak peek of the music video, but then things got messy. Shortly after the teaser dropped, rumors spread that Drake had been pulled from the track, possibly due to Durk's legal troubles. Fans were crushed, thinking the moment had passed. But once Durk confirmed the leaked track list was fake, hope came rushing back, and the streets are once again buzzing that the Drake feature might still be alive. But with Durk locked up and Deep Thoughts pushed into the unknown, the big question remains, will he even get the chance to release it at all? Despite the chaos surrounding the case, Durk hasn't been left out to dry. His family has stood solid behind him, showing support both in court and in public. And leading the charge, his longtime girlfriend, India Royale. India was spotted outside the courthouse following Durk's arrest, and the image of her waiting, calm and collected, instantly went viral. Photos of India standing tall while waiting for updates spread like wildfire on social media. Some fans praised her, calling it real love, and saying her presence was proof of deep loyalty. That's what holding someone down looks like, one person commented. But not everyone saw it that way. Some critics argued that we shouldn't romanticize what should be expected in a relationship. Why are we acting like this is something special? One user posted on X, formerly Twitter, "Every real couple should ride like this." Others weren't as confident her loyalty would last the full stretch. "Let's see if she sticks around through the entire trial," another user wrote. And to be fair, their relationship has had its own ups and downs. Since linking up in 2017, Durk and India have faced public breakups, including a brief split in 2022, but they've always found their way back. Now, with Durk facing the fight of his life, India's presence in court suggests she's still in his corner. Whether it's true love or just loyalty in the spotlight, one thing's clear, she's showing up. So what do you think? Will Durk beat the case? Will Deep Thoughts finally drop? And is Walk Hard with Drake still on the way? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that bell so you never miss the real tea. Catch you in the next one, my stars and hushers. Stay locked in and stay tuned.